You ever think though, and again, outside looking in, you're in good shape. You got beautiful kids, you got a beautiful wife, beautiful family, and now you're a pastor of a pretty. I mean, you're in a unique situation because it's changing a lot of people's lives. It really
It's
is.
amazing.
And do you ever think like you ever pinch yourself and be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I can't believe this is like you were literally going to, you said, I didn't know that either, 35 to 40 times.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, you got a beautiful family. You got like a storybook family.
Dude, I got all my teeth.
Yeah, dude.
Like it's wild. I mean, it is nothing but the grace of God.
Yeah.
I should be dead. Definitely should not be married. Definitely should not have stayed married for 14 years. I came in with a bunch of crazy. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, welcome to another episode of On the Rise with Pete Kuc. And I got Walker Day here. Welcome, Walker.
Thanks, man.
Man, I'm really excited to talk to you. You're one of when we started this and even talking, we were like, we got to get Walker on here. You got a lot of cool intertwining themes for what we're trying to establish here, which we don't know what we're
I was
establishing.
about to say, what are y'all establishing?
We're trying, man. We're figuring it out now. But Walker is currently the campus pastor for an incredible church here in Jacksonville, 1122. He's the one in St. Augustine. And Walker has impacted a ton of people's lives, whether you hear his name a lot around town. A lot of men, I'm sure women as well. But the one thing that drew me to the church, and I went in skeptical on some things because you hear about, when everybody's always like, oh, you got to go to 1122 and you got to check Joby and all that. It was real organic. I got invited to go to a men's meeting at Kookaburra with a bunch of guys that we mutually know.
Yep.
And I was so blown away by it. And then, I said, so then I begrudgingly listened to a podcast of Built for More. I'm kind of a meathead football guy. And like, it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I listened to a sermon because we didn't have a church here. And I was like, man, this rings a bell. And then I gave it to my wife. And my wife was like, this is awesome. She's like, she's from Georgia. So she felt very
absolutely
home, but she really appreciated how much I felt fulfilled and it fulfilled our family. But it was really through the coolest part was actually the outreach, not the actual church for me. It was actually seeing all the outside stuff.
Yeah.
And then hearing it through friends of ours that this is really cool. This is guys. And it was like, man, this is, the conversations have changed among men over the last few years. And, well, anyway, that's one of the reasons that I really wanted to have you. And then, I love your story about recovery. You're deeper than what you really see. So Walker, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, it was a long-winded, explanation.
It's all good.
But man, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you grew up and how you ended up, down here?
Yeah. So I was born in Arkansas, actually, and my dad's a cotton farmer, or was. He passed away a couple of years ago, but all my uncles, cousins, brother, everybody farmed cotton mostly. It's kind of what our main thing. Had a cotton gin and just grew up, with that. But also, there was a lot of brokenness in my family, a lot of addiction, a lot of abuse. Parents split when I was pretty young, so spent most of my time with my mom, and we moved to Little Rock, but I'd go back every summer to it's Dumas, Arkansas. Probably nobody's ever heard of it, in southeast Arkansas. But lived there till I was about 13. My mom had gotten remarried, and we moved out to Georgia for a couple years, southern Georgia, and then we ended up in like near the beaches in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And kind of what I guess landed me here kind of started there. I mean, I grew up in the church. I grew up around the church, I would say. It was more of a thing we did. And
like a lot of families.
Right. It was something we did on Sundays. You check the box, and then it wasn't really a part of our weekly life. I will say my mom like read the Bible. I remember that, but and I do think that because I didn't, my dad and I, he wasn't, God rest his soul, he wasn't a great dad. He just wasn't around. I idolized him, of course, and he was my hero. But looking back, now that I'm a father, like he didn't teach me how to throw a football or swing a baseball bat or any of those things. But I think because of that, I kind of leaned into my relationship with God from a young age. But I think all that brokenness kind of left me really skeptical of people. So the church was a tough pill for me to swallow, especially the version types of churches that I was around. And just the men that I saw there, you know, I'm sure some of them were tough, but the ones I saw were just a bunch of weirdo wussies, And I was like, if this is what's in the church, this just doesn't line up with like what I see as godly manhood and all of that, which, I think was a good thing for a while. But if you're outside the church too long and you come up, you start coming up with all kind of theories, and you know what I mean? Eventually I got lost and just started, there were some things that happened to me when I was a kid that shouldn't happen to any kid. And I think that kind of put some distance between me and God. I had to start lying about that to people. And I think that was kind of the beginning of like the deception and this kind of double life that I lived. And, the reality is by the time I was, I think I smoked my first cigarette at 7, was back when they had them in the front of the, you could steal them. And I was, selling cigars and, all this, dipping and all the stuff. And, when we moved here is when I got introduced to pot, and that was just kind of a slow road down till high school, which it escalated into other stuff, and ended up back in Arkansas. I got expelled from 3 public schools in 1 year. Ended up in a boys' home, much like C-Mark, which our church is involved with now. And so it was kind of like a Christian, orphanage, if you will. And parents both just said, we're done. We can't handle him. And went there, and I could always play the game. So I could, act right enough for a season to kind of wiggle my way through whatever program or school situation I was in. And so got out of there and came back, and that's how I ended up in St. Augustine. When I came back from there, I had, gotten in a bunch of trouble in schools in Jacksonville. So they sent me down here to St. Joe to try to keep me out of trouble. And little did the devil know, when I was trying to screw my life up, that God was going to, circle me back around through these parts. And, I'm pretty sure I did a ton of damage in those days, leading people in the wrong way. And now get to be a part of this movement, the Church of 1122 down here. And like you said, we've just seen tons of impact on people's lives, men's lives. So,
Well, one thing I think I hear often, that there's and again, we're all human, so like it's hard to put people on pedestals, right? I mean, that's the danger in every organization. 100%. It's humans behind it, reality of it, and it's not going to please everybody in every direction. But there's some firm biblical principles, I think, that are like, it's comforting. You know your boundaries. It's like really talking. It's not going to waver on that. Yeah. But there's compassion in it, which is cool, and strength in that. But I can tell you one of the things, that the guys I bring to the church, my wife and I both have said, I love the boldness, which is so crazy to me that it's like demonized, but that the boldness of saying, bring your broken here. You can be recovered. Like the videos, of strippers or guys, like that's the real world I know. Sure. And I also know that like we feel so shame and guilt. I did. I'm not going to say everybody, I'll speak for myself, that you're like, I did this. There's no way out. I'm done. Yeah. The church doesn't want me. Sure. But I got to keep going, but I know I'm not welcome. And it was like, no, bring me. Yeah. Come here. Yeah. These are the guys that we want to have. That was a huge thing that drew me to the church. When I was in rehab, actually. I spent 6 months. I finally, How old are, I meant to ask. So yeah, I mean, the drugs escalated until when I was in my early 20s, it was the Oxycontin days, 2001. Pill mills. And, I think I broke my hand in a fight, got some Lortabs or something. 4 or 5 days in, I liked them. How many people do you think like injuries,
Oh man,
like have like sidetracked
tons,
people?
dude, tons,
Man, it's crazy.
tons. I mean, and I'll say I was dabbling, so it wasn't like I was some angel who just, got prescribed to,
Sure.
which also happens. There's a lot of people who were straight edge, good people, and I mean, there's something that clicks in your brain. There's a reason that, your body gets addicted to those things. There's something in it that's really good, and I think that's a godly consequence to keep us all from just being vegged out on opiates because, or whatever the thing is, alcohol,
100%.
the withdrawals and the consequences from it keep us from.
Well, especially like with your childhood. I mean, just an outsider looking in on that, like it seems like the pain pill, like they just say it's a warm blanket.
Dude, yeah.
You finally get that anxiety lift.
It was,
you know,
that whole comfortably numb, you know what I mean? That song made a ton of sense to me.
And it's a trick. It is like the contract with the devil though, man. It works and it works so good. You get a superpower till it doesn't. And it tricks you.
It hooks
and then you have to have it. And that just is the reality. People.
That's what happened to me. I remember I did it and I was doing it. My best friend passed away. He was from here in St. Augustine and grandma died. And like, I just already was dabbling and then I got in some trouble and it just kind of all culminated. And I was like, this is my only way to stop feeling this way. And so I did it for like 3 weeks and I was like, I've never done a drug like every day for 3 weeks. And so I was like, I need to stop. And I stopped and I got sick. And I was like, I think I got a cold. And a buddy came over like a day later and he gave me like some Lortabs or something and it went away. And I can still remember being in the bathroom looking at myself going, you're a junkie. This is what you've seen on TV, you know.
Yeah.
And any rational or sane person would think, well, then you really need to stop then.
Yeah.
But my brain didn't think like that. I was like, well, I need to figure out how to get out of this or, figure out my own way with it. And spent most of my 20s on and off of opiates, Suboxone, methadone clinics, in and out of jail, always just stupid stuff, driving on a suspended, just idiot
It's
stuff.
what happens.
Possession, not paying fine, but I mean, I probably went to jail 30 or 40 times at least and drunk in public, whatever the things were, DUIs. And finally, last time I went to jail, came back here to visit, I was 29. Or I think I was a little bit younger, I was like 28. And then I got on probation and just quit paying, quit going, got back on the crap and ended up in jail. And when I went that time, I'd just been begging God. I was like, please take this from me. At that point it had elevated to shooting cocaine and, crazy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I just, when they came to arrest me that time, I just knew, I was like, this is it. This is going to be, this is my chance to get out of this. I always had this feeling that God had something more for me. This path wasn't my destiny. I had been around people who'd kind of resigned to like drugs are my life. And I'm not saying I'm better than them, but there was always something in the back of my mind. Like, I want to do drugs with you today, but I don't want this to be my life.
You almost feel like it's like a movie. Like you're in a movie, it's not really your life.
Yeah, I know.
Like at the end of my drinking days and everything, like I was like, I can't believe this. It's me.
How did I end up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, this is horrible. But you're like, all these, this is not how I visualized my life.
This isn't how I thought it was going to work out.
And when you're young, you feel like my mom used to have a great saying called youth is wasted on the young.
Mm-hmm.
And the great part about being young is that invincibility and you have time. Like you can't conceptualize time like that you're going to get older or anything else like that. But then all of a sudden it's like you're doing it and the years go by.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And
that was me. And I was just like, this is it. And so I can remember the cop that arrested me that night, he moonlit at the methadone clinic. And so I had seen him before and he's like, why are you smiling? He's like, what's going on? You're about to go to jail, man. You're not going to get a bond. And I was like, dude, you work at that little state-run dope clinic and I'm done with that crap. This is it. And so I went to jail, Duval County. That time it was 30 days, no bond. So I had to dry out and I was on opiates.
Dope sick.
Benzos. Oh, it was horrible. I was on like 120 milligrams of methadone, which is a lot. And went through all that withdrawals. And then I, long story short, somebody in there told me about this program. They were trying to put me in this state thing called the Matrix, which requires a 12-month. Yeah, you heard of that thing?
No, I like the name. I like the name.
Matrix. Yeah. And I was like, man, I don't need behavior modification. I need God. And I knew that was my problem. It was rebellion. It was sin. It wasn't, that I need to learn 5 ways to be a better me. I knew I was running from God. And so was like, God, if you get me out of here, I'll go there. And they were trying to give me 12 months to go into that program. They'd already come and talked to me, and I went to court, and they were like, hey, time served, you're out. And just like any good addict, I was like, God, do I really need to go there? So I reneged on my deal with him.
Yeah.
Within a week, I was using again, and I was like, okay, I don't know how to live. I don't know how to live life any other way than on drugs. And so I checked myself in 6 months, inpatient, lived there and worked my way through that program. I'd burned every bridge with family and friends. And, while I was there, started healing spiritually and physically. And my little sister was in Pastor Joby's small group. He was a youth guy back then. And so he had just started this new service, and they invited me. So I would leave rehab and go straight to 1122, and really, like you said, the kind of the churches that a lot of us have been a part of. I walked in there and I was like, something's different. And just hearing him speak, I was like, oh, this dude's kind of normal.
Yeah.
I actually believe him. You know what I mean? Like, I got to believe somebody if you're going to talk to me about
I think that's the hardest part for a lot of us.
Dude, I don't need you to give me some, theatrical, hermeneutical,
let me feel good.
Yeah, let me just talk to me. And he did. And I heard the gospel. It clicked in my ears for the first time that yet while I was a sinner, Christ died for me. And for me, that was the big deal, because I just always had heard God's good, you're bad, try harder. You'll never fit in at this church. You're not good enough. Jump through all these hoops and maybe God will love you. And with all of my brokenness and, abuse and just kind of past, I was like, it didn't register. And so when I heard God loved me while I was a sinner, saved me while I was a sinner, and my response to that is obedience, I was like, okay, now this makes sense to my spirit. You know what I mean? And it's obviously biblical and scriptural, and that's why the others didn't. So started going, started serving, and I was just like, man, I want to be a part of this thing.
That's cool.
Went on a mission trip, met Joby in a taco shop one day, and everybody didn't know him then, and he heard my story and just kind of started bringing me into stuff. And, it's the last place I thought I'd be. Last place I thought I'd be, but praise God, man. He's got a good sense of humor.
But you know what? I mean, it really, what's given me over the last couple of years, and I've said this to you a couple times in the gym, like I grew up in the church. And again, just because I wasn't totally into it at the time, it still had its baseline.
Sure.
The seeds were planted. I had coaches, I had different, and I was always around it, and Chris, and there was something I always loved about it. I really truly see, for me, my walk was sobriety, right? That was my make it or break it. I can't live like this. I can't live without it. I don't know what to do. I finally was out of personal development. I was finally out of my sales, talk myself out of it. I tried like you, and I'm not at a point where like I belittle anybody, because like if you got a path to get sober, good for you. I tried to do smart recovery, which was like very cognitive based. It was good, but I could fake it still. I could do it. I couldn't. And when I went there and I surrendered to God, it was like the surrender part.
Did you go to rehab?
No, I just went to, I actually wasn't even going to go. I actually, I had a moment. My moment was like,
our paths had crossed before.
I know.
That's the crazy thing.
And we didn't know each other.
And then it crossed with Chandel too.
I know. That was weird too. I don't know what that is. The Matrix. I don't know, like the God thing. There's so many coincidences.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not ready for it, or I am, but it's like, and then you get painted a picture of your worst part, and you're trying to fight your way out of it.
That's who I thought you were. I mean, I don't heard stories.
Yeah. Everybody did. Yeah. Well, everybody, but I have it's funny. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. And I have all my old friends and people new, and it's like, it is what it is. And a lot of those stories that you've heard, I earned. So it's like,
those were 10, 15 years ago. So
yeah, no, and I get it. And I get it that like, it's more peaceful. My daughter wrote her paper for college on me, and it was like really hard for me to hear, but I'm at a point where like, I always turned red. I'd always sweat. I'd be like something, but now it's like easier for me just to accept. Yeah. That is who I was. And I look at your story, even in that, as you're telling me that, I'm like, dude, that's what makes you so strong now. Yeah. Because like people know you've been there. And that's why I think that's why Jesus, now I'm not speaking for Jesus, this is just my illusion of it, but he picked the disciples that were the most unlikely to then spread the message.
Seems to line up.
It seems to line up. And it's like, I know the people. So like, I wasn't going to go to AA even. I kind of talked to a couple buddies of mine and they're like, you're not out, you don't need this. But of course I didn't know the whole story, what was going on, that my life was really unmanageable.
Yeah.
And how broken I was and how much I was struggling and I couldn't get in, I couldn't get out. I would go 90 days, 100. I was trying so hard, but if something went wrong, I couldn't, there was no more willpower. And I'm a pretty disciplined person. And I thought I was getting served papers for something. I quit for like 5 days, and my buddy, who's an attorney, really big attorney, I called him, but he had been in the program and had turned his life over to God. He's like, Pete, he didn't even talk to me about it. He said, why don't you go to AA? And why don't you, he goes, God took care of me. And he told me his story and all, and I had no idea because he's really successful. I knew a little bit, but I didn't know to the extremes. And it was the right person sharing that. And he goes, nothing happened to me that I thought was going to happen. And the same thing happened to me. Nothing happened. All my fears and everything else. It was like, I always say it was like the footprints.
There it is.
Like God was carrying me. And the consequences I did have to suffer. And there's consequences I take still from back in the day. Bad decisions, bad business decisions, everything that like, I can handle it though.
Yeah.
It's all right. And someone lifts out a hand for me and everything else. And I would not trade that part of life, the miracles coming.
Yeah.
And I also look at like, there was times when I was down a road because God did bless me with a lot. He blessed me with a lot of success young, blessed me with some talent and different things. And I just, I was like, this is all, I was very smooth. Let me give you, I would take care of things, but as long as I could still do this. And when it fell and it came down, there were so many coincidences that I wasn't going to get out of this on my own.
Yeah.
There was like that where I normally would have gotten away with it, or I normally could have, even when I did good, it was like, no, you're outside. Like it was almost like a parent when you tell your kid, hey man, I'll give you these leashes. I'll help you, but you're choosing not to listen to me. You got to suffer your consequences.
Yeah.
And it was like, it wasn't like there was any magic. It was like, you're choosing to do this on your own. Good luck.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm so happy it happened that way. Cause mine was a spiritual hole. My heart.
Yeah.
It really was. I was hurt. I was hurting inside, and I didn't realize how much I was, and I just needed grace, so I had to give grace. I had to give forgiveness. I had to go do that stuff. And it just taught me a lot about myself.
Yeah. Yeah. AA is great, man. I mean, we went through that in the program I was in. We went every week and I did all the steps. I kind of went towards Celebrate Recovery once I got out.
Yeah.
But if someone's in AA, many people have found Jesus in AA, even though you're not kind of supposed to.
It is, but that's what opened it up.
Sure.
And then the funniest part, cause I didn't have this, like, it was great. Like I'd go Sunday morning. So I thought I was living a spiritual life.
Yeah.
And the funny typical guy thing is I liked Chandel and she invited me to church. So I went to church.
Whatever it takes, man.
And then like when I went there, I was like, wow, I was like cheering up during worship and I'd go back. And then, stuff happened with my brother and his wife and some tragedy happened. And that's when I was like, really, really got embraced when I needed it.
Yeah.
It's good, man. And it was like it was just different. Everything had changed in my life, and it was really cool. So I love that I think that's a really important part. And I think what you're saying is the essence of the church, which really draws people into it. It doesn't let you off the hook. It's not letting you go, hey, I could live, there's just forgiveness, because that's not.
God loves you right where you are.
Exactly.
He just loves you enough to not leave you there.
Right? And the authenticity, I think from like everybody, I think that's like that's really important these days. We're burnt out from inauthentic.
I agree.
Online and everything else. Like everybody's selling us something. Everybody's telling us this. There's peptides for this. There's this for that. There's a pill for this. And we're like, we just want something that's true.
Yeah, I agree, man. People ask, what's the secret sauce? I just think, I think the authentic culture that comes from the top down, because, Pastor Joby could have, kind of taken the pastoral, I'm going to protect my, weak areas and kind of present something to the congregation at some point, because he takes a lot of flack because he talks about his own crap a ton. Mm-hmm. And, but just as a staff and as a culture, I think that is kind of like, it's okay to not be okay. It's just not okay to stay there, and that's how we try to, operate. And that's the code that we live by as a staff. And I think that trickles out obviously into the congregation. And then when people show up, they encounter real people who, love a real Jesus, but also have real problems and, real shortcomings and aren't afraid to, we're not faking it. I mean, obviously we all fake it a little bit, but
You,
try not to.
to piggyback on that, one of the ones that stuck with me, and probably because we're meatheads, and that's another bond that we all have. But I remember him talking about, he was a really, I guess, former bodybuilder,
Yeah.
weightlifter, everything.
Yeah.
It was really strong. And he said something, I guess he's kind of probably close in age to me.
Yeah.
And he was saying to some young 20-year-old kids, he's like, you think you're strong? You're going to lose it,
Yeah.
And he was saying how life is more of endurance and perseverance. And I do think that has been, there's a bit of magical thinking when everything changed in my life, because a lot of stuff started working out.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh my gosh, this is like, it's almost like that Santa Claus
Mm-hmm.
God. But like, then you get another reality check and you get a setback, and it's like, oh, I'm building strength to get, life doesn't just mean, it's never going to be fair.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
the one truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
There's going to be unfortunates, but you're building up strength to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, God doesn't shield us from all the pain, but he's there with us, and it makes all the difference.
And there's a bigger story. And I kind of like see it now. There's just a bigger story, whether I like it or not. I'm getting prepared for something bigger.
That's it. That's what I always, think about. It's like, yeah.
Do you find now like, that like, all right, so like your time with Oxys, your time in that depth, and even some of the things that happened when you were younger, that pain, those real pain things, do you find them as some of your strengths now to help others?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the only way that I've, find peace in any of that stuff, is to put it in God's hands and allow him to use it to help other people. Otherwise, it's just a pain point that I could, stew and ruminate on and blame, or, victimize myself. A lot of stuff I did do to myself, but there was stuff that was done to me and situations. And, but man, for whatever reason, however it works, and God's omnipotence and his, divine providence, it was allowed to happen. And so the only way that I can reconcile it is to try to help other people, and the recovery thing, it's a superpower in the church. I mean, if you've been through something, it doesn't have to be recovery. It's anything, whether you've been through abuse, or whether it's, you've lost a child, whatever the thing is, you put that in God's hands and allow him to use that to help other people. And it's exponentially more powerful than a good preacher or a deep theological thinker who can exposit the scriptures in some sort of counseling session, a mom talking to a mom who's also lost, that's way more powerful. But you have to trust God with it. And that's the hard part, is going, okay, God, like, I don't know what you were doing here. I don't know why this happened, but I trust you, and I trust that you're good. And, I'm going to put this thing in your hands, and I'm also not going to allow shame or, condemnation to cause me to hide it. And to, that's why you ask, like, what's off, like nothing's off limits.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if I put things off limits, I'm just giving the enemy, fuel to just whisper things to me.
Yeah.
So I kind of lead with it. And it's a little bit jarring in the church. I mean, I can remember, like, these church people, bro, they're great. I love them, but they're funny. There's a guy he came on staff with our church, and he'd been in church his whole life, and worked at a church, and he's like, so where were you before, 1122? And I was like, jail. And he was like, oh yeah. It's like, but I just lead with it, man. I don't, otherwise the enemy starts bringing shame.
Do you know that, I mean, as a common folk person, let's just say a person that came from the regular parts of the world and kind of stayed away, would go to church. I was what do they call it? A creaster.
Yeah.
I was a creaster, Christmas,
Yeah.
Easter.
Yeah.
And then, do the stuff, but believed. But like, man, it is it's like, that is probably the number one knock against the church, is the church people judging,
Yeah.
and feeling like you don't belong.
Yeah.
It really is. And I feel it. I feel though, in a culture, I really feel like that is changing with the good
Sure.
places. We're getting a lot more real and authentic
Yeah, I
on
agree.
stuff. I mean, I could feel it on it feels like, and I don't, again, I get confused sometimes whether it's just the algorithms I
No.
look at that everybody's thinking these things, but it just feels like people are getting, we're wanting, as narratives are being pushed on us, the authenticity, saying, all right, let's get out of this,
Yeah.
I
mean, the Bible talks about the church being the bride of Christ,
Yeah.
and then being, prepared for his return. And so I just kind of look at it like, as we grow in Christ, we mature, and we are being sanctified, made into the image of Christ. And he's, growing us up, maturing us, all those things. I feel like the church is doing that as well. And so it's gone through a bunch of, I think, growth over the last 20 years. And the old country club, style of church that most of us kind of saw as kids, if you're 40 or above, has shifted to now being, a more authentic version. But, you can only be as authentic as you are with God. And so obviously the scriptures it's not just like, I'm going to be me and, you get what you get. It's like, I'm going to be me and be honest about where I'm at, but also I'm going to use the Bible as a mirror to look at myself and say, what do I need to change to be conformed into the image of Christ? And then ask him to help me, and that's a journey, bro.
Do you spend a lot of time in prayer and quiet time? I mean, you gotta be, with setting up a new church. And when we say it's a campus church, if you don't live around here, it's an outpost of a church that already has.
Sure.
What do we have? 1,500 people? I don't even know.
2,000.
Oh, is it 2,000
per week? Yeah.
Per week in St. Augustine, of a branch of one. So it's not just this small thing. And then I know the men's group, the one day when I go to it, there's got to be 30, 40 guys in that. And that's just one day that I see you at 6 a.m. before.
So, yeah, man, I try to, have a prayer life that would match the responsibility that God's given me. And we recently moved, so I have been a little off the last few weeks, but I try to start my day in prayer. And there's been seasons where it's harder, you know what I mean? There's seasons where I feel like God's there. Sometimes I just feel like, if I'm honest, definitely not checking a box, but I'm just like, I'm going to be here whether I know you're here or not, kind of deal. So it's not like God's just talking to me every time I go into my prayer closet. But I start my day in prayer, try to spend time throughout the day in prayer and in his word, and a lot of just trying to do
I think that's where the strength goes though with God. I think that's where the relationship grows. This is, again, just my opinion on it, but I think in recovery, I think when recovery, working out at the gym, let's break it down to easy things, being a parent, your relationship with God is like when you're not feeling it and you do it anyway, because you trust it. I've had a really dark, we've talked a little bit, but I've had a rough 6 to 8 months. Really a year. My mom's death was a year ago yesterday. Not that was like, it's part of life, but it was like, there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on since then. And, the economy, we can go on and on. Having 5 kids, having 3, a 2-year-old, all these different, let's call it just like, it's stressful, some things. And I was like, man, God, I feel like I'm living the best I've ever lived. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do this, I don't do that. And, I almost want to get an award, but I was like, is this even worth it? It was easier when I was doing this. But through that and the maturity of the process and realizing my role in it, I just kept doing it. I've been dedicated to reading the Bible, reading, praying. And sometimes it is faking it, man. Sometimes it is, even with my kids, I show up when I don't want to show up.
Absolutely.
And I do it. And it's like, but through it, there's been some incredible things that have happened, and I'm like, wow, I'm like, I can't believe this did work out. I just couldn't see it. It wasn't my plan. So that was where the struggle was.
Yeah. I think
But
it's kind of like you raise a kid, you teach them things, and then at some point you send them off to college and you expect them to kind of know. And I feel like I'm in that kind of season where I've been there for the last years where it's like, I'm kind of hoping God will tell me the thing that I already know. You know what I mean? And it's like he's like, nah, buddy, like you know how to
you
do
got
this.
this. I love you enough that
Yeah.
I'm going to let you do it.
And you said something about, like, is it even worth it? And
Yeah.
if anyone's honest, I don't know if many people are, but I mean, I've had that thought process before. And the cool thing is in the Bible, when Jesus started talking, he the first time he started talking about, you got to eat my flesh and drink my blood. And people are like, what? Like, what's he talking about? And so they all take off. And then he looks at his disciples and he's like, you're going to leave too? And they're like, where would we go? So there's times where I get to like the end of my, the bottom of my faith barrel. And I'm just like, I don't know. Is this even worth it? Like, is this real? Could I just go make a bunch of money and not be a pastor and, not have all this pressure? I mean, since we've been here for 3.5 years, my dad died. My brother committed suicide. My wife's father went, like, it's been rough.
I know your little 5-minute talks with me have been pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Cause I see your actions.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I know what he's going through. And he's,
it's like, where would I go? Who else has?
But it's pretty
life?
Remarkable. It is pretty remarkable,
So,
man. I mean, I know when your brother passed because I went through that.
Yeah.
But that was your brother. It was my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Same way. I mean, that was, I left saying no. I mean, that was like, I literally folded up my real estate company.
Just got out
and
of
I
here
went,
for a while.
and I needed it. And I'm not even the one, it affected me that much
Man.
that I didn't want to talk to people. I just had gotten sober. I just was like, trying to change my life. And I just really was sad. I just was like, man, that we have the same last name. It affected me so much.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to I didn't leave. I just folded up what I was doing to start something.
But that's real life and everybody else is going through it. So why would I be immune?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, I don't get an award for being a pastor.
Yeah.
Honestly, didn't even try to be this.
Do you ever think though, and again, outside looking in, you're in good shape. You got beautiful kids, you got a beautiful wife, beautiful family. And now you're a pastor of a pretty, I mean, you're in a unique situation because it's changing a lot of people's lives. It really is. And do you ever think like, you ever pinch yourself and be I can't believe this is like you were literally going to, you said, I didn't know that either, 35 to 40 times.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, you got a beautiful family. You got like a storybook family.
Dude, I got all my teeth. Like,
yeah, dude.
Like it's wild. I mean, it is nothing but the grace of God. I should be dead. Definitely should not be married. Definitely should not have stayed married for 14 years. I came in with a bunch of crazy. You know what I mean? I watched crazy. My dad was married 5 times, 3 times to the same woman. Like that kind of wild, man. He just tried to indoctrinate.
Why I say that's awesome. That's awesome.
I mean, if you knew him, he was a great hang. He just wasn't the best father. Sure. But God bless him. But either way, like, I got indoctrinated with crazy. So us trying to figure out between the brokenness of both of our families and what we came from, how to love each other and stay married. That's a miracle.
Dude, and your discipline is all out. You're a very disciplined person. That's crazy. I mean, do you ever like sit there and go, I can't believe this is who I am?
I was disciplined in finding drugs too. So,
yeah. But if you could change that power, you could change that power.
So now I'm disciplined in getting up and spending time with the Lord. And it can become, almost an addiction. You've probably, seen or felt, that like, but I think it's a good one. Like, but man, if I'm not in the gym, if I'm more than 2 weeks without jujitsu, you know what I mean? Like
squirrely.
There's things that, I just don't feel good. And there's a little bit of conviction every once in a while. I'm like, am I too focused on my health? But it's like, I don't know. I just feel better when I work out. I feel
we're supposed to take care of our body.
Push myself, Jiu-jitsu is just humbling. And that's been a great thing to add to the bucket of just, keeping my ego in check.
But I would think also with your type of job, honestly, the amount of people you have to like, if I go into a classroom with the teachers or the deans, because my daughters are at St. Aug High School, like that's a wearing job, man.
Yeah.
It really is. There's a lot of pressure on people. I think there's a lot of pressure and outside pressure for our pastors. That's why we pray for them and everything else. And the amount of people that you help and talk to, if you didn't go to that gym, and then being a parent and being married. Let's say that if you didn't do that, we're talking an hour or two a day to go do that stuff. I mean, just a few years, 30, 40 years ago, people were, on farms and they were walking. Our life's so much more sedentary.
100%.
We go crazy. We've got so much information coming on. I'm a better person.
Me too.
And
it is a fertile ground. I don't know if you're alluding to that, but I mean, I don't know how many men from that gym, you know what I mean? And my whole, pretty much entire jiu-jitsu gym, like everybody's coming to church now. And
that's who invited me to go to the thing.
That's all I do is like look at it like that as well.
Do you get like, all right, so there's the doom and gloom, like AI is coming, the world is over, there's wars, what's going on? And I don't know, I am so excited that I'm alive right now through all this right now, because I'm seeing, I didn't know that like I would have these conversations at the gym. The guys I work out with and everything, we talk about 1122. Yeah. We talk about like things that are good for us. And if we have a problem with our wives or anything, it's not a bash session. Right. It's like, hey, here's what's probably going on or whatever else. And it's not a touchy-feely conversation either. We talk about God. My cousins text me. They flew down and took me to like a big talk on Friday. We have a family text going on about God, like these things that are going on in all of our lives. It's not common for me to sit down and pray with my kids and have a conversation with them and say, hey, I'll pray for you. I say to my friends, I'll pray for you. I'm seeing such an interesting movement there. And then I've been to like a bunch of graduations for the kids, my kids in high school, then my stepdaughter in 5th grade. And I'm watching family involvement, right? Yeah. And then I'm watching these great kids, like people are bashing this next generation. And I think
the next generation is going to be good. I think the millennials they're the ones who
they got the bum. Well, maybe they'll surprise us.
I mean, maybe they can pull out of it, but man, it takes a miracle for them.
But they got that. They got very bombarded.
They did. They got bombarded with unlimited
and everything, woke and everything else,
and
safe spaces.
Dude,
and all that. But you feel like the next one's tougher. They're tougher again. But anyway, I think I have faith in them too, though, because I meet these young guys that are great.
Oh yeah.
And so, all right, to back it up though, like the church, I still can't believe this was even possible. Like I couldn't even, and it was bigger than what I was expecting. You guys baptized, there's 14,000 people on a beach. Myself, my wife, my kid, my good friends, our good friends, the family, like we are dragging our kids an hour away to go on. It was a lot to say. No, but we did it happily. Yeah. Happily to go do this a whole day. And my red skin, this is why I'm red, guys, now for that now. And dude, there was 14,000 people there. There was 2,500 people that got baptized, including 3 of my family members. I've never seen something like this in my life. I don't know if this happens in other places and everything else, but I also know other churches are experiencing this. Yeah. But it feels authentic. It feels real. It feels like something you're like, I can't believe this is going on.
Yeah. I mean, I pinch myself every day that God, of all the places that I could have been,
Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the churches I could have been a part of, for me, Joe, I didn't have great, male role models.
Yeah.
Joey's been like an older brother to me. So I've watched him love his family. I've watched him lead this church, with integrity and, just to be a part of something like this for me. I don't in any way, shape, or form try to take any credit. It's just by the grace of God, he decided to put me where he put me. And I think all of us are fortunate to be able to be a part of. And again, it's not just our church. God is doing something. I think,
it was considered dead at COVID. Like like if you listen to the news and stuff like that, it was considered dead. And my friend's in commercial real estate. He's like, what's really going up for sale is churches. There's 72. And it's funny, and that's funny because that's when I'm an opposite person. So that's when I got in.
Well, I think that's what happened. And it was close. I think people had become complacent. And I think, as technology improves, our lives just get easier, and comfort is, it'll kill your desire or need for God. And I think, the enemy in 2020. What he often does, if you're watching him, he overplayed his hand. Pastor Joby talked about it in a podcast or
Oh,
something.
really?
And it's just, when people saw the darkness and what the enemy really has to offer, and then it was on full display, lockdowns, freaking, all kind of like profiling.
We lived in a really good bubble.
Yeah, but we saw it still,
Yeah.
and it was terrible. Speech, laws, and people going to jail for this and that, and forced to get back. It's like, oh, okay, the whole woke thing. It's like, all right, I think I'm done with all that. I'm gonna try something else. And like you said, a relationship with God. That's the only authentic thing that was offered.
It's the only thing. It really is weird when everything gets taken away. We touched on it a couple things, and again, to use recovery terms more, but that's just my language. But I always think of the higher power, because like my quick higher power is moving to money. It just is like success or success, whatever, glory, whatever it is. Like, I'm like, all right, this is great, but I got to put work first. My family, and it's in good intentions too.
Sure.
It really is. Like, I mean well, like I want to take care of my family, and I lose grip. Like, but when I'm really surrendered and I put my faith in God, it's like miracles. Things unfold. I don't know how it does it. I don't know how. I'm sure there's something biblical in it, but it's like, for a long time, it was like I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. And I didn't even realize I was uncomfortable. It kind of was like it started with social drinking, and it started with this. And then it became like I couldn't function. I was Adderall and drinking. It was like probably my two things. And then Adderall, when you're in sales and stuff like that, you feel like, it's almost like you're like, I need that confidence. I'm not going to have confidence. And when you go out to go socialize and stuff, I need that drinking, or else people aren't going to like me. They're going to be like,
I need to drink twice as much.
And it was great for a drinker, man. and it supercharged my issues.
Yeah.
And, but it's so funny though. Everything I thought I was getting in that, I got in God. I got the woman of my dreams that I used to try to talk some girl when I, she'd meet me the next day, and you're like, you're not as fun as you were when I'm,
you don't even look the same
on Adderall and drinking. You're a lot quiet. You're like, whoa, what are you, depressed? Like, all these things. But it's like, I got the woman of my dreams. I got a son, at 48. I got really good friends, which I always had good friends, but I got really good friends. I got a great life. I got living a life that I didn't even know was possible at 50.
Yeah.
I thought 50, you were done.
I don't know how to explain it. I mean, we don't follow God because he, gives us a better life. We follow him because he's better than life. But things do work out better when you do things God's way. He created us, and it's like whoever invented, cell phone, like they created it for a purpose, and you can use it for other stuff. Like I could probably hammer a couple nails in, you know what I mean? And it would work a couple of times. I could use it as a door jamb. You know what I mean? I could probably use it for a lot of stuff, but it would eventually break. But when I use it for what it's intended for, making calls and, texting or whatever, it works. And so God created us to worship him. He created us to be in community with others. He created us to do good works. He created us to, bring his kingdom onto the earth. And, the way that he created us and designed like marriage and, us to have a relationship with money, all of those things, if we do them his way, our life does, work out better. It doesn't mean there's not going to be tragedy. It doesn't mean, family members don't die, or, people don't get sick, or you catch every green light. Yeah, that's just life. But overall, you are not causing yourself exponential harm by operating outside of the design of the designer. So, yeah.
One of the interesting things that's happened to me recently was two of my daughters graduate. And to look back, and they're in dance and stuff like that. So you have all these, for 15 years driving on the weekends and through some tough times in different areas. But to see it at the end and go to these things, it's like, man, to get to this point where we're at, we have their last dance. 3 of my daughters are going to dance for the last time. It's been their life. I mean, their life on a lot of levels this weekend. But it's like a good choke up tears when you watch this, because you're like, oh my gosh, my life was worth it. It was well spent. I didn't see it when I was running to the events. I didn't see it with the sacrifices, but thank God I sacrificed.
Yeah.
Because I'm so happy. I didn't know. And that's like, I think that's like God's the delayed gratification is so worth it,
Yeah.
in God's
It is.
timings.
Yeah.
And I think that was really hard for me as a young person to see it because I wanted it now,
The
you
long
know,
game.
and it's like that long game, everything in my life that I like you getting your belts in jujitsu. If you got it's that easy, you wouldn't appreciate it. But it's like actually the growth of going through all the processes, it's like so worth it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I wish I'd have known that at 15.
I know.
You know?
That's part of life too.
Yeah,
You get to
absolutely.
learn it now,
Yep.
All right. So a couple things. What's your favorite passage like that kind of gets you through the day? Do you have a favorite?
I mean, Romans 5:8. Yet while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. God demonstrated his love for us in this. Yet while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That one, I have some gospel verses on my arm. 1 Corinthians 5:21. He made him who was without sin to be sin so that we might become his righteousness. You know, um, just constantly being reminded of how good God is that he would send his son to take my place. I still don't fully grasp it. Can't wrap my head around it. And maybe obviously don't feel worthy of it, but just those kind of verses, man, just the goodness of God through the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news of his life, death, and resurrection. That's just what I aim my focus at. And that, I mean, I love a lot of stuff in the Bible, but those ones are ones that it just kind of encompasses everything that is good.
Do you have a favorite or go to like parable or something a story that you really has hit you, or for a newcomer?
I mean, I
That
think one that for me that I still go back to and is good for a newcomer is when the father had the son that was either epileptic or something. He kept throwing himself in the fire, demons. I mean, all kind of whatever. There's multiple things going on there. And he asked Jesus to heal him, and he said, if you believe, then he'll be healed. And he said, I believe. Help me with my unbelief. And and then Jesus healed him. So it wasn't like he's like, oh, you don't believe yet? Get your faith meter up and come back to me and I'll maybe heal him then. He healed him. And so I think for me, that is something that I constantly lean into when I, you know, could be any area of my life. And a lot of times there's areas of our lives as Christians that as Christians or church people, it's kind of taboo to talk about. Like maybe I'm not like I'm don't want to read the word. Like
Yeah.
can't say that, you know what I mean? But it's like I'll pray like God help me want to read your word today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's counseling like I do. I meet with a lot of people. Some of them I've heard their story before.
Sure.
Some of them I know they're BSing, and you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not as empathetic or, as I should be or could
Sure.
be. And I'm just like, God, help me like see this person the way that you see them, and I feel like that type of prayer translates throughout, all of our walk. And it's like, God, help me want to pray today. Help me want to do the right thing today. Whereas some people would say, well, you don't want to, then, you're not doing it right. It's like, well, apparently, you cannot be doing it right and then ask God for help, and he's willing to help you.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think
It's
that's huge.
It is huge, man. I think it reminds me of my I thought my brother came up with this clip because he went Thursday night, but I didn't know he went Thursday night.
Mhm.
He sent me on Friday. He's like, "Hey, you got to listen to this Theo Vaughn clip
Mhm.
a few weeks ago."
Yeah, I
And
remember.
then Jovi talked about it and Chandel's like, because I sent it to her. She's like, "He's listening to your clip." I was like, "Oh, I've tied the dots together." But I like that clip with Theo Vaughn talking about that he was praying about knowing that you're going to fail in something because you've done it over and over
Right.
again, and then asking God to go into that spot
Mhm.
of your heart, the willingness
Yeah.
to go through it.
Yeah.
And that is deep, because that reminds me a little bit of what you're saying.
When he talks about sometimes I don't even want what's good for me.
That rings
right?
so true to me, man.
Oh yeah.
So true to
It's
me.
like, I can identify with that. It's like, I know what's right. And why do I have to fight myself to do it? When, to your point earlier, it's like everything I've ever done, in line with God's will has, produced good fruit. Like the family, the thing, like, why would I not trust him in this area of my life? And it's just because I'm just prone to wander.
Dude,
I don't know.
at the end of that rang so true to me though, at the end of my drinking days, like I say the end, probably the last few years of going back and forth, I knew I wasn't going to stop. Like I knew, like I let myself down so much.
Right.
And so I was like, I already know I'm going to plan this Monday when I feel like crap, but I also know the pattern is going to be by Monday night. I don't really even want to, I mean, whatever it is, there's going to be an open house or something like that. And I'll just throw it out again.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm already, and I related with what he was saying. So true that like when you're in the struggle of whatever it is in life,
I'm still hoping and praying that is, that pattern ends at some point. And it has become less and less.
Yeah.
I'm certainly way more prone to do things that are healthy and good for me than I am not. But there's still this little voice occasionally that's like,
I kind of came
take the easy road.
I came to recently though. That's why we're human and we need God.
100%.
I mean, it's like if I had it figured out, I wouldn't need God.
No, he's definitely hammering me.
And it's not like
enough to remind me that I need him and I need him every day.
Yeah.
I honestly, one of the guys in our groups, he used to always say, he'd start his day out by saying, I can't do this without you, God. And there's something to a man that, who's like self-sufficient, works out, does all the things that thinks like that's weak, but it's just true. I don't got this.
I like the simple prayer of help me.
Yeah. Help me.
Just help me.
Help me today. Be a better husband, be a better father, be a better friend, be a better pastor. I don't got this.
I don't have this. I like the two of the verses I've been, not verses, but stories that really, for me, relate with my life. One is, I love the story about the sheeps, going after leaving the 99 for the one. And it was explained to me what was meant and how absurd that was when he was saying, but that's how much he loves you. And he'll celebrate you when you get home, and just celebrate that. I love that. Cause that reminds me about like recovery. People be like, look at stats. We look at stats. So we put people as numbers. We say, oh, there's only 7% that actually, what's it worth it? Everyone fails anyway.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's actually not true if you look at, over a lifetime. But the other one is, yeah, but that one person that you do save, who cares is family.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't get saved, how many people you're impacting here in town? That one sheep was a raindrop that then changed all these other people's lives and are bringing them to God and everything else. So that one I love. I love that, and then I also love the Peter, the one that I've heard, and it just made me feel so good because it does remind. My name's Peter, but like my namesake is him having all this gusto and everything else, and I'll never deny you. And then he still denied Jesus at the moment. Got tight of it, but he was so sorry and so, wanted forgiveness and everything. He didn't, Jesus knew his heart and he was forgiven. Whereas Judas, was totally different and did it maliciously and everything else. That like we all are. I have Peter in me.
Yeah,
where I'm going to make up. Now I've learned to say sorry. I mess up and I know it, and I used to hate that. And I would dig the hole deeper and I'd go into manipulation mode and everything. But I'm like, all right, I could just say sorry. And then they might not accept that sorry either. Yeah. It's all right if that's on their time, but I could do it and start over. So I'm not in this manipulation train and then causing more damage and more damage and more damage.
Yeah. That story of Peter's good. I mean, he denies him 3 times.
3 times.
When Jesus appears, he cooks him breakfast, and then he's, asking 3 times, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And
then he built the church on him.
Yeah. And then he uses him to launch the church.
Yeah. I just cause that reminds me of like, I mean, not that Peter was like this, but it's like, I get like, so when things are good, I get so cocky and arrogant, like everything's going to be easy. And then all of a sudden something will happen. It's like all over,
you know,
but yeah, I forget very quickly, like everything. And I'm like, man, that is such a good, I just love it. I love grace. I love the story of forgiveness. I love that all of us, the best of us could fail, but we could start over. And that's actually, if I really put the show in a nutshell, I love redemption. I
Yeah.
love it because that's what I like to listen to. I'm
Yeah.
done with everything else. I'll still, I still get sucked in to like a news story or something like that. And I'm like, oh, get them,
Yeah.
whatever. But it does not feed my soul. It doesn't do me any good. It does not affect, it breaks me down. The stories that uplift me. And I want to, if I want to dedicate some time to something, I want to hear a story that I leave there I just want to feel good. I want to know but a real heart story that I then could take.
Well, I mean, the
Stories
good news
change
is
people's lives.
it's possible for anyone. I mean, wherever someone's at in whatever area of their life they're struggling, one step towards God, one move towards the King, and everything can change. And I've seen it. I've seen marriages restored. I saw my marriage restored. I mean, we fell apart at like 7-year stretch, and it's by the grace of God that He put us back together, and we're better than we ever were. But I've seen the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the most lost, the most broken, come back to life through the power of God. And, it's awesome to see, man. It's awesome to be a part of. When you get to be a part of that, whether it's through this show or through a friend or someone at the gym, it, bro. I mean, through AA, like, dude, that's my drug of choice now is life change. Watching people just come to life, they're dead, whether it's drinking, drugging, porn, whatever the thing is, chasing money, and you just see them like wake up to the reality of God and like their actual purpose. It's it's rewarding.
Dude, I have a couple more questions because I'm looking at the time, but I really did want to ask you because you're making me think about these things. The struggles of marriage. How often? I mean, that's a pretty common struggle. Like people, whether you're Christian or not Christian, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's so important. Being committed to get through it. Like you went through it. Apparently, you said that.
Yeah.
You come out on the other side. I've talked with another guy. Jermaine was on the show. Another one that him and his wife went through rocky road and almost divorced. And they're both big
we were there.
Christian, and like they had something come over him that like he was scared to leave her because God said not to, so he wouldn't do it, but he put the ball in her court. Yeah. And then they both like broke down. They made it through. He's like, they were both like, they're now 30 years married. Yeah. Just thrilled that they went through it.
Well, when that happened, it's like everything else. You think that I thought that I'm the only one that struggles with this, only one that struggles with that. I'm the only one whose marriage is like
that's a devil thing, I think.
And dude, when I actually started, seeking some, discipleship and wisdom, I realized that pretty much every single 30+ year marriage had a season where they thought it was over, and majority of them, all the ones that I talked to, God being at the center, Jesus being there, cornerstone of their marriage, whether they were walking with him or not, they tried to lean into him at that point. And, now they're 15, 20 years beyond that time. And I was like, oh, so this is just kind of a thing. Cause I'd never seen it. My parents, both sides, between Rachel and I, we had 12, broken or dysfunctional marriages between our sets of parents. And it's like, if it's bad, you just leave. Isn't that what you do?
Well, and that's our culture.
And if you're not going to do it, why would I do it? And that's not a covenant. The Bible calls us to a covenant, And so I just realized I wasn't really living out a covenantal marriage. I was in a contract. And so I was like, oh, okay, I need to kind of switch the game up. And as the husband, I needed to take the lead and tried to do that. Did.
I think also it's important, correct me if I'm wrong, I think also getting around good marriages, people that have thriving marriages. Cause I do think as humans,
it's toxic.
We feed into toxic and we feed into good. And like, we've talked a lot even about like, mixed companies and putting walls on that. If you're going to put your marriage first, it's just the reality. It's the reality of life. You hear these stories way too often. And there's a reason they keep popping up.
With that. I ain't playing with that.
And then the other one I wanted to ask you, cause you brought it up again, and this is like a newer, I feel like it's younger, I'm sure older guys as well, but younger, I hear this all the time. Porn.
Oh yeah.
Is that I feel like they're not drinking as much, the younger guys, like we did growing up. Like that was normal. Yeah. The porn and pot probably. Yeah. And some of that other stuff.
Yeah.
That numbed you to all.
It's man,
Is that
we
true?
grew up, when it was like, we'd ride our bikes a couple miles to an abandoned house to find like one picture of boobies. You know what I mean?
You had to work for it.
Yeah, you had to travel.
It was a lot of work.
You had to backpacks and gear and, hide out from, police and parents and smuggle it back in. Like, it was work. So I can't imagine,
on your phone.
on my phone. I mean, again, it kind of became prolific 10 years or so ago when I was still kind of, doing the drug or 15 years ago, I guess now has been, but either way, but it wasn't like it is now. So, but it damaged my soul, like you can't take that stuff back, either the promiscuous lifestyle or just the porn. Either way, you're putting, ideas and scenarios and standards in your mind of things that just aren't the way that it really is, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah, that was never. It was just funny. Out of all the struggles I had, mine was more real life promiscuous.
Sure.
But not the, and not that I'm better. It just I'm not techie.
What's funny is it was for me too, and then the porn thing kind of like, and I don't know if God allowed that to just kind of. It wasn't for a long time, but it was enough that I was like, "Oh, this is a real thing."
I got paranoid.
And it didn't end when I got married. Like it was.
I got totally paranoid one day. I literally thought, I was like, I was like, this is going to come back to get you somehow. And they are saying it now. They put people, but I was like, I don't know, but that's me, but that's not.
I can't imagine. I have enough like the dating apps,
but then the actual categories they have are horrible. Like they really are.
A bunch of young dudes. I mean, like. Yeah.
Like you're talking about like to have no trust, sister, stepsister, stepmother. It's the worst case scenario against the Bible, relationships, everything. You're just like, man, this is crazy. You throw on the other one, they're not getting together, but it's there's whatever that website is that's really big too now. Not Hinge. I mean, there's a website for amateur porn, I guess.
Okay.
That's really big though. It's huge. There's like 1 in 10 girls are on it. OnlyFans. Yeah. But those are two things. You're just like, how did this even happen? But is that like, do you see that or hear that a lot in there of like,
I mean, pretty much every marriage counseling, if we end up there, there's some of that going on typically. And it's not just the men, it's,
it's everybody,
kind of everybody nowadays.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, dude, the enemy's got a heavy hand, to play, and that's why I think it's so important to surround yourself with godly men and be in a Bible believing and teaching church. Just because I don't know, man.
That'll be my one pro. Go work out. Get all that energy out of you.
For sure.
Don't be isolated, man. Just even that helps you out. There's little tools that just help you out.
Beat up and choked out.
Seriously, you just be exhausted.
Yeah. Just go home and
getting exhausted was half my battle in life. Like if I get exhausted, I'm all right.
It's good, man. Nothing wrong with that.
So anyway, well, man, Walker, I wanted to end this too with the church, the St. Augustine.
Sure.
Where do they go?
I mean, it's on US 1, right by Corner Sushi,
right by the best shout out.
Dialio's. Yeah, it's on US 1, just south of 312. And you can just Google Church of 1122, St. Augustine campus and find it. But there's groups of men everywhere. Kookaburra out at the beach Tuesdays and Thursday morning at 6:30. You don't have to know the Bible or any of that. Just show up and we talk about what God's doing in our life and how that's affecting the way that we love the people around us.
A group of great women and great men. They had a women's retreat for like 3,000. Yeah, I never even heard of something. I haven't heard of these things, but maybe they do. I'm not pro, but I didn't know this really happens. I thought that was like
it's definitely unique. It's not the only place it's happening, but it's not the norm.
And it still feels like a small church. My daughter's going on a mission trip June 6th. Awesome. She's going with the church, her own choice, which was really cool
with the students.
She's going with the students. She's going to England.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, she said they got to convert some tea people to coffee. I'm just kidding.
Awesome. Yeah,
she's going over there. She's but it was really cool. It was so organic.
Teaching what free speech is.
Yeah, Yeah, she's but 18.
You can get arrested over there now for
I
preaching the
know.
gospel.
They said it was like 3 or 4%. That's actually
I got a buddy who's about to be a missionary in England, which is crazy.
crazy.
You know, like,
Well, I honestly, I think our developing countries, I went to Malawi on a mission trip years ago, and they were the most loving
oh
people
yeah,
I've ever met.
Yeah.
And happy. And
Yeah.
they were the poorest people
content.
in the world. It was really a lesson to be learned. Having more being comfortable doesn't necessarily, we get too intellectual, I think.
Yeah.
We're too
much.
We know
too much time to think.
We think we're way too smart for our own good on a lot of stuff. We got it all figured out. We're miserable with that. So that's and then this week, which hopefully we'll edit this because of this. I really was thinking about you coming on because my brother had texted me. There's going to be the men's
Bible study coming up.
Bible study
next Wednesday morning,
June 3rd, right?
June 3rd. Yep.
What is that about?
It's just going to be a 10-week Bible study. We're just going to dig into the scripture from the sermon that week. So, this week we're in Matthew 13, and we're just going to kind of, Joby does a great job. He walks through everything with line by line. We don't skip anything, but, he doesn't have a chance to go as deep as we'd like to. So we're just going to dig in deeper, and then we're going to spend some time kind of like we do at our Kuc groups, just, talking to each other, answering questions, and trying to open up.
And that'll be at the campuses?
That'll be at St. Augustine campus, and then there are a bunch of other campuses
at all
hosting it. Yeah, I don't know.
Town. So we'll put that on there, but I just wanted to definitely it was, again, pretty weird times. I think this is the weird times. Is my brother, a few of my friends were texting about it, that we got to try to block that out to go. So it'll be like 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Yeah, we're texting about a 6 a.m.
men's Bible study.
Men's Bible study, which is bizarre in its own right. So that we're all excited to hang out with everybody. Walker, thanks so much for taking this time, man.
Thanks for having me on, bro.
I've really enjoyed learning about you. I hope everybody else does, which I'm sure. And thanks for being authentic.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, bro.